The 1983 World Championship Tennis Finals would be hard to top. John McEnroe and Yvonne Lendl were locked in a marathon battle which would prove to be one of the greatest matches in tennis history. When McEnroe claimed his controversial victory, the capacity crowd in Dallas, Texas knew that this McEnroe-Lendl Classic would be a tough act to follow. The three-time champion exuded confidence backstage at the 1984 tournament. McEnroe was convinced that these finals would be remembered as the culmination of his year of dominance. 1984 was to be known as the Year of the Aces. The 1984 WCT Finals welcomed Buick as its first title sponsor by living up to its reputation as the most impressive social week in the tennis community. Monday night meant party time as hundreds of guests turned out to celebrate the opening of the 14th annual tournament. The Adelstein's international reception added a little Texas flavor to the tennis festivities. The partygoers donned their best Western outfits for the celebration, and while many danced to the music of Razzie Bailey, others took the time to mingle with their favorite tennis stars. Vitas Gerulaitis was there along with his sister Ruta, as was Dallas hometown favorite Bill Scanlon. With $500,000 in prize money on the line, the field for the 1984 Buick WCT Finals featured a number of names familiar to Dallas tennis fans. Along with Gerulaitis and Scanlon were McEnroe, Smid, Curran, Creek, and playing in Dallas for the first time since 1980, Jimmy Connors. Rounding out the field were five impressive players who would be making their Dallas debut: Jimmy Arias, Elliot Telcher, Mark Dixon, Heinrich Sundstrom, and substituting for an injured Yvonne Lendl, Tim Mayotte. Mayotte began year 14 of the Buick WCT Finals with a formidable challenge. His opponent in the opening round of the 1984 tournament was the tireless Czechoslovakian, Tomas Smid. Mayotte was forced to use his head against his gifted opponent, but after losing control briefly during the second set, he rallied to defeat Smid in 4 sets. Another opening match featured two newcomers to Reunion Arena, Elliot Telcher and Heinrich Sundstrom. Following the racket spin by Jim Ewing, general manager of Ewing Buick, Telcher went right to work against the 20-year-old Swede. Sundstrom had won 19 of his last 20 matches, but Telcher remained unimpressed as he frustrated Sundstrom in a long 4-set match.
Game, set, and match, Telcher.
The 1984 Buick WCT Finals marked the debut of an innovative idea in tennis viewing comfort. Members of the Trailblazer Club were treated to a plush outdoor facility which provided a relaxed atmosphere before, during, and after the matches. The media and special guests were also treated to some creature comforts of their own over at Brookhaven Country Club. The media tennis tournament and brunch featured 3-time Olympic gold medalist Peter Snell, and on the outdoors court, 2-time Wimbledon mixed doubles champion and current U.S. Open referee Bob Howe. Back at Reunion, the first round matches continued with a Wednesday evening matchup featuring Mark Dixon and Kevin Curran. Although Dixon raced to an early 2-set lead, Curran kept his composure and battled back to take a 5-set win over the stunned Floridian. It would not be the only marathon match of the tournament for Curran. Neither would it be the only lengthy match of the night. The next opening round contest featured two familiar faces, Dallas native Bill Scanlon versus the tenacious Vitas Gerulaitis. Despite a few well-placed passing shots by Gerulaitis, Scanlon dominated the first two sets. Suddenly, Gerulaitis awoke from his trance. The 1978 WCT Finals champion shrugged off a match point for Scanlon and fought his way to a 7-6 victory in the third set. Gerulaitis appeared to be siphoning the momentum from his opponent as he won an impressive come-from-behind marathon victory. Thursday offered a reprieve from the extended tension of the night before. The sponsors and media were able to unwind during a luncheon at the home of WCT President Al G. Hill Jr. In attendance were 30 international media representatives from a dozen countries. Included in this year's luncheon was an informal gathering including the WCT executive staff in which they discussed the status of tennis. Held under a native pecan tree, the meeting spotlighted questioning from Bob Green of the New York Associated Press office. Several members of the Buick entourage were in the audience, including shows and exhibits manager Harry Wagner. Thursday's quarterfinal round featured the WCT Finals return of Jimmy Connors. His participation in the 1984 tournament marked his first appearance in Dallas since 1980, when he won the first sporting event ever held in Reunion Arena. Connors would again enter the WCT record books with this quarterfinal match. When the two-time champion took the court opposite Tim Mayotte, it was recorded as the 100th match in WCT Finals history. Mayotte, however, was determined to steal the center stage from Connors. He walked onto the Supreme Court with his usual aplomb and proceeded to seize the first set 6-4. Despite the intensity on the court, the audience was distracted. The Dallas Mavericks were playing across town in their first NBA playoff series, and the crowd kept its ears on the radio and its minds on basketball. Connors finally came up with a ploy to lure the audience back into the tennis match. With the crowd now solidly behind Connors, Mayotte was defenseless as he fell prey to Connors' unique mixture of talent and aggressiveness. In another quarterfinal match, Jimmy Arias met the free-swinging Californian Elliot Telcher. In his Buick WCT Finals debut, Arias produced a flawless game, disposing of Telcher in 3 rapid sets. It was at the International Media Conference that members of the press corps received a foreshadowing of events to come in the 1984 tournament. While the other players received cursory attention, John McEnroe was treated with the type of adoration usually reserved for Hollywood superstars. The only 3-time champion in the history of the WCT Finals was constantly followed by a battery of television cameras. It became obvious to the media that this tournament belonged to McEnroe. After his controversial victory over Ivan Lendl in the previous year's championship, the press anticipated another Big Mac attack. The accolades as well as the pressure were all McEnroe's.
McEnroe seems to be the guy to beat, I think. Just after watching him play the last couple months, he's been playing really, really well.
As the top point earner in the 1984 race to Dallas, McEnroe also won the $10,000 Buick WCT Gold Ball, presented by Jim Perkins, General Sales Manager for Buick Motor Division from Flint, Michigan.
And we want to take this opportunity to present to you this beautiful gold ball, handcrafted gold ball, Vitalstein Jewelers. It says 1984 Buick WCT and inscribed on the base, John McEnroe. It's my great pleasure. Thank you very, very much.
McEnroe's first match was in the Friday quarterfinals against Vitas Gerulaitis. McEnroe had assembled a string of 6 consecutive victories over his fellow New Yorker. So when Gerulaitis entered the Reunion Arena, he faced a formidable uphill struggle. McEnroe began by running his opponent all over the court. He then displayed his keen sense of shot placement with a soft drop shot. McEnroe was relentless against Gerulaitis, spinning him around and then guiding a shot past him. Despite a partisan audience that attempted to motivate Gerulaitis, McEnroe proved invulnerable, scoring a quick 3-set victory.
Game, set, and match, McEnroe. McEnroe wins 6-3, 6-1.
Also in Friday's quarterfinal round, Johan Kriek made his first Buick WCT Finals appearance since 1981, taking on fiery Kevin Curran. Kriek took control of the match early, displaying a clever strategy that had his opponent applauding in appreciation. Kriek won the first 2 sets, and then, obviously shaken by several close line calls, his game began to crumble. By the time Curran hit his stride, the crowd came alive, voicing spirited support for the lanky right-hander. Kriek could not overcome the crowd reaction, nor his mistakes, as Curran posted his second 5-set come-from-behind victory in the 1984 tournament. Curran had reached the semifinals, but he was beginning to show the strain of 2 consecutive marathon matches. Following the extended excitement over the quarterfinal matches, the WCT entourage was treated to cocktails and conversation at the home of Norma and Lamar Hunt. Not only had the tournament shifted into high gear on the court, so had the social activities off the court as the party-goers anxiously awaited the upcoming semifinals. Sandwiched between the myriad of social gatherings were the First City Future Stars Finals. 8 of the top junior tennis players in North America battled on the courts of the Las Colinas Sports Club. 18-year-old Brad Pierce eventually upset top-seeded Patrick McEnroe in the championship match at Reunion Arena. It was the younger McEnroe's second straight unsuccessful bid for the First City Future Stars crown. The semifinal matches were to become definitive statements by the tournament's top seeds. Jimmy Connors and John McEnroe had both talent and tradition on their side, and they refused to disappoint the demanding audience. Connors took on an eager foe in Jimmy Arias, but Arias felt his enthusiasm fade early in the match. With his wife Patty looking on, Connors demonstrated how top-flight tennis should be played at the expense of his young opponent. Despite the lengthiness of some of the earlier matches, this contest was rapidly drawing to a close. Connors continued his domination, finally forcing Arias to the carpet in despair. Even after 2 sets of domination by Connors, Arias exhibited an extraordinary amount of maturity and stamina.
You're young, you can do that, it's okay.
Regardless of the last-minute heroics by Arias, Connors was too much to overcome as he notched a 3-set victory. Connors had reached the championship round. The rest was up to McEnroe and Curran. Following his quarterfinal match with Johan Kriek, Curran knew that his 2 lengthy matches earlier in the tournament would hinder his chances against a surging McEnroe.
Well, I normally look forward to playing a guy like McEnroe because you got nothing to lose, and you know he's the top player in the world. You beat him, you get a lot of recognition, and But under the circumstances, he's playing awfully well this year, and I come off 2 5-setters and not really going to get a day's break like I did for this match. It's going to be difficult. It's not something I'm really looking forward to, but then again, I'll just get, I thought I was playing on fumes there, so just keep doing it.
If Jimmy Connors dominated his semifinal match, then McEnroe was simply overwhelming against an exhausted Kevin Curran. Displaying the brilliant moves of a chess grandmaster, McEnroe waited patiently for a weak move by Curran. The confident left-hander then capitalized on the opening with the skill of a veteran strategist. McEnroe was on a roll, disposing of Curran in 3 sets, 6-3, 6-3, 6-4. The expectations of the Dallas fans were fulfilled. The 1984 Buick WCT Finals would make front-page news with an old-fashioned McEnroe-Connors shootout in the championship match. The rematch was welcomed with fanfare at the annual celebration dinner. Guests took time to ogle an impressive display of ostrich eggs decorated by tennis players and celebrities. Sales of the eggs, coupled with proceeds from the dinner, raised $150,000 for the Dallas Society for Crippled Children. The celebration dinner also featured several special guests from Buick: Wally Edgar and Ken Pruitt, Mr. and Mrs. Bill Morey, and Lyle Pennington and Don Snell with Norma Hunt. During the awards presentation, Howard Head, creator of the innovative and popular large-size Prince rackets, received the coveted Service to Tennis Award. Also preceding the championship round and making its debut at the 1984 tournament was the Buick WCT Finals Racket Race and Fun Run. Proceeds from this event were also donated to the Dallas Society for Crippled Children. As the racket race began to wind down, the tension across the street at Reunion Arena was swelling. An expectant crowd began to pour into the building. A national TV audience prepared to watch the match on ESPN. And tennis fans in Germany and Italy were ready to stay up late to watch the action live via satellite. The two opponents began to sense the excitement backstage. When Jimmy Connors last served as WCT champion in 1980, he defeated a young McEnroe for the title. But now it was a more mature McEnroe who was in the driver's seat, taking the court for an attempt at an unprecedented 4th Buick WCT championship. The John McEnroe who strode into the arena this day was not the same feisty player familiar to the Dallas audience. This was a new John McEnroe who went quietly but steadily about his business, playing with the confidence of the best tennis player in the world. Even the talented Jimmy Connors couldn't keep his finger in the dike. The torrent began.
30-15.
McEnroe scored his first ace before the match was 2 minutes old. The unique twisting serve that is a McEnroe trademark caught Connors off guard, forcing him to hit into the net. The match contained little shouting, few disputed line calls, and no racket throwing. The afternoon seemed like an onslaught of McEnroe aces. By the second game of the third set, McEnroe had scored 13 aces, while Connors had won only 4 out of 15 games. Mercifully, the tempest was brief. McEnroe walked away with his 4th Buick WCT championship, scoring a 6-1, 6-2, 6-3 victory.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, for many years at Buick, we've had a saying that we kind of think depicts the way we do business. That saying is best in class. And I think after seeing the tennis you've seen here today and the tennis they've had here this week, you'd have to agree that world championship tennis, like Buick, truly is best in class. Thank you.
What more can you say about John McEnroe? He's already said it all out there on the court. So without further ado, I'll ask Wally Edgar to present the trophy.
Check, sir.
Hold it up all the way around. Hold it.
At the victory party, McEnroe was still in good form, trading shots with Buick dealers Leonard Burton and Tom Stevens.
But looking forward to my Buick car. Do I get a car or no? So I guess I don't get a car.
And then to celebrate his decisive win, McEnroe drank champagne from the famed trophy, thus beginning another Buick WCT Finals tradition. Proving that the 1984 Buick WCT Finals was best in class, McEnroe wrapped up the Year of the Aces by posing with the WCT courtmates, basking in the glory that belongs to the only 4-time champion in Buick WCT Finals history.